Most people think muscle is about appearance, looking lean, looking fit, looking strong, but muscle isn't primarily an aesthetic tissue. Muscle is a metabolic organ. And for most people struggling with fat loss, energy, and unhealthy aging, it's the most ignored one. Today, I want to explain why protein and muscle are not optional for metabolic health, why scale weight is misleading, and why many people accidentally diet away the very thing that keeps metabolism young. Let's start with a simple truth. You don't burn most of your glucose in your brain. You burn it in muscle. Skeletal muscle is the largest glucose disposal site in the human body, which means muscle is one of the primary regulators of insulin sensitivity, not supplements, not hacks, not cardio alone, muscle. Here's the problem. Most weight loss strategies focus on shrinking the body, not improving the system. Calories go down, weight loss goes down, calories go down, weight goes down, and everyone celebrates. But no one asks what was lost, fat, muscle, water, because the scale doesn't care. And neither does most advice. You can lose weight and get metabolically worse. You can lose weight while losing muscle. You can lose weight while insulin resistance just increases. You can lose weight while resting metabolic rate drops. That's not fat loss, that's metabolic erosion. Muscle does several critical things metabolically. It stores glucose safely. It burns calories at rest. It produces myokines that improve insulin signaling. It stabilizes blood sugar after meals. It protects against metabolic slowdown during dieting. And it acts as a buffer against aging. Lose muscle and every one of those systems suffers. This is why I often say fat loss without muscle preservation is just shrinkage. It may look like progress short term, but it almost always backfires in the long term. One of the most common mistakes I see is people dramatically under-eating protein, especially during fat loss, especially women, especially people using appetite suppressing strategies, and especially people using GLP-1 medications without a protein first plan. Protein is not just a macronutrient. Protein is a signal. It signals muscle retention. It signals metabolic safety. It signals satiety, and it signals repair. When protein intake is inadequate, the body adapts. And one of the easiest tissues to sacrifice is muscle. Here's where things get misunderstood. People think losing muscle is just about strength. But metabolically, muscle loss worsens insulin resistance because fewer muscle cells means fewer places to put glucose. So glucose stays in circulation longer, insulin stays elevated for longer, and fat storage becomes more likely. This is why people can be eating less, losing weight, and still seeing insulin staying high. Another overlooked factor is protein distribution. It's not total protein intake per day, it's how that protein is spaced. Muscle protein synthesis requires a certain threshold. Small amounts of protein spread too thin don't stimulate muscle effectively. Most people underdose protein at meals, then wonder why muscle slowly disappears. Add chronic cardio, add calorie restriction, add stress, and muscle loss becomes almost guaranteed, especially after the age of 40. This process has a name. It's called sarcopenia. And when it overlaps with fat gain, we call it sarcopenic obesity, which is one of the most metabolically unhealthy states a person could be in. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If weight loss strategies don't protect muscle, they age you faster. Muscle is one of the strongest predictors of longevity. Not body weight, not BMI, muscle mass, and muscle strength. This is why cardio-only approaches fail so often. Cardio improves fitness, but without resistance training and protein adequacy, it doesn't protect lean muscle mass. And without lean muscle mass, metabolism becomes fragile. True metabolic improvement looks like this. Blood sugar becomes more stable, hunger becomes more predictable, and energy improves. Recovery improves, and fat loss becomes easier without constant restriction. Not because you're trying harder, but because your metabolic engine is stronger. If you're dieting and feeling weaker, colder, and more fatigued, that's not discipline paying off. That's a warning signal. The body's telling you muscle is being sacrificed. This is why my approach to fat loss always prioritizes these three things: protein adequacy, muscle preservation, or even growth, and metabolic signals before scale goals. Because the scale can lie. but physiology doesn't. If you've lost weight before and gained it back, if your metabolism feels slower than it used to, if fat loss feels harder every year, there's a strong chance muscle loss has been playing a role. Not because you did anything wrong, but because no one actually explained the rules. Muscle isn't optional. Protein isn't optional. And fat loss without metabolic protection is a short-term win with long-term consequences. If this episode is resonating and you want clarity on whether muscle loss or protein inadequacy is part of what's holding you back, that's exactly why I built my metabolic assessment framework, to stop guessing, to stop repeating these cycles, and to build a metabolism that works with you instead of against you. If this was helpful, please subscribe, share it with someone who's maybe dieting their metabolism away. Stay tuned for next week, where we'll talk about inflammation, gut health, and why your metabolism can feel stuck even when your habits look clean. We'll see you next time. Until then, keep it real.